Okay, I got another video. ESPN has agreed to a contract with former NFL MVP Cam Newton. Under this deal, he will be a commentator for First Take, ESPN's signature morning show, morning debate show featuring Stephen A. Smith, hosted by Molly. Uh, Cam will make his debut on Friday, which was yesterday, during a live show at Tennessee State University. The former NFL MVP joins a list of personalities on First Take, which includes Smith, Molly, Pro Football Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, Sirius XM host Christopher Mad Dog Russo, and many others. Cam, addition to First Take, brings an electrifying personality to enhance our roster of our top tier personalities, said Dave Robertson, executive vice president, executive editor of sports news and entertainment at ESPN. His dynamic, charismatic combination with a high-profile debater alongside Stephen A. Smith will create a competitive, compelling, must-watch television for our fans. Cam Newton said, "I always brought passion and energy into everything I do. That will not change at ESPN. I'm looking forward for the opportunity to share my personality, my perspective, to go toe and toe with the best in the business. Fans can expect the same intensity I brought to the field, along with real talk, bold takes, and good fun." All right, so let's get into this. Now, I feel like this hire, Cam Newton joining ESPN, is much more deeper than him reuniting, and it feels so good with Kimberly Martin. Everyone knows last year Kimberly Martin had some choice words about Cam Newton. When she took what Cam Newton said to heart, she basically thought Cam Newton was, disrespecting quarterbacks that are, I think it went like quarterbacks that, win games with their athleticism, playmakers, or game system type quarterbacks that play within the playbook. I feel like there's multiple ways to skin a cat to win football games, to win playoffs, to win Super Bowls. No one way is the only way. Numero uno. Okay? You can win football games by several different ways. And when Cam Newton explained it in detail, it made a lot of sense for a lot of people. Kimberly Martin took this as an insult. She immediately started attacking Cam Newton by what he wears. Also talked about how Cam Newton is unable to get a job in the NFL. She just went ham on Cam Newton because of Cam Newton's take. Now, Cam Newton did clarify what he meant by it, but the damage was already done. There was a few people out there that just didn't like the take Cam Newton, or the approach Cam Newton took. Now, Cam Newton on social media and on YouTube, he's box office. You cannot do wrong by signing Cam Newton to ESPN. And I said this in a recent video that will be uploaded. If you look at the direction ESPN is traveling, they're looking for personalities such as Cam Newton, who's electrifying, who's charismatic on television, who's box office, who's entertaining, who has a social media presence, who, has a YouTube channel that's flourishing. It's oddly familiar to Shannon Sharpe. Now, I feel like them hiring Cam Newton is much more deeper than that. Of course, it's a solid hire. No one's saying that it's not a solid hire. But I feel like if you look at the landscape of ESPN and you look at the recent things that have happened with Stephen A. Smith, and to some perspective of Shannon Sharpe, you've been noticing people have been, slinging arrows mainly at Stephen A. Smith. if it ain't about Stephen A. Smith's contract and how it may jeopardize other people's jobs down the road, if it's not them nicknaming Stephen A. Smith, Mr. Greedy, if it's not for Stephen A. Smith's takes about the WNBA, how a lot of WNBA personalities did not like the side Stephen A. Smith took when they were talking about Caitlin Carter, and you started noticing a lot of people are throwing arrows, slinging arrows at Stephen A. Smith and at Shannon Sharpe. I feel like adding Cam Newton to the table is someone that is favorable, that could be favorable for Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is looking for allies at the table. He doesn't want another situation where everyone's immediately jumping on Stephen A. Smith's take, or someone giving Stephen A. Smith pushback. Like the previous thing about Caitlin Carter, how there was a lot of women in the WNBA that didn't agree with Stephen A. Smith, which, once again, I don't agree with everything Stephen A. Smith says, but I do agree with Stephen A. Smith about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's name, Caitlin Clark is box office. She's the reason why casual fans who 2 years ago were not going to WNBA games are now going to WNBA games. All right? There's a lot of other women that are doing their thing in the WNBA. AJ with Angel Reese, just to name a few. There are a lot of women in the WNBA that are doing their thing, that is bringing something to the WNBA table other than their appetite. They're bringing their popularity on social media. They're bringing, like Angel Reese is now doing her podcast. You've been looking at Angel Reese. She's been, she was on Wild 'N Out a couple of nights ago. So all they're doing is bringing eyeballs and attention to the WNBA, which ultimately will make the WNBA popular, and it can stand on its own without the resources or the money from the NBA. Hopefully that day will come, all right? But if you look at that little monologue with Stephen A. Smith and how now more than ever people are coming at Stephen A. Smith's head top. If you look at how that went down, I think Stephen A. Smith wants more allies. This will help ESPN. There's another personality. There's another sports influencer that people will come to First Take to see. You still got Stephen A. Smith. You still got Shannon Sharpe. And you got Christopher Russo. You got Kimberly Smart. You got all these other personalities. But the biggest box office draw is Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and now Cam Newton. I think this is going to do numbers, particularly, and I'm pretty sure the executive producers and the producers over there are waiting for a topic where Kimberly Smart and Cam Newton don't agree with, and then they'll have a segment on ESPN. ESPN is on ESPN's turf. They collect the revenue, they collect the ratings, and it's just television magic. Okay, so yeah, this is a win-win. I can't see how this could be wrong. Just once again, I do feel like they're doing the same thing like they did with Shannon Sharpe. Even though Shannon Sharpe is more proven, they're always going to give Shannon Sharpe a multi-year contract. If Cam Newton lights it up like I think he is, they're going to, maybe a year down the road, offer Cam Newton the same thing like they offered Shannon Sharpe. And, he too will sign a multi-year contract. Now, what about the other personalities on ESPN? How that works. Also, having Cam Newton as an NFL commentator, having a Cam Newton as a college football commentator, if somehow, some way you can somehow wiggle Cam Newton on Monday Night Football, that would help get Shannon Sharpe, get Stephen A. Smith on Monday Night Football. So now you got Cam Newton doing some Monday Night Football segments. I think Shannon Sharpe may do a thing, may do his thing on Monday Night Football. Slowly but surely, Stephen A. Smith is going to figure out a way to get on Monday Night Football. That's his dream assignment. That's his dream play. So yeah, that's all I got for this. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.